Hi, everyone.
Welcome, everyone. Hi, Erlinda. I see you. Hi, Jeff.
Hey guys,
Hi. How are you? How's your week going?
week's going good. Just got back from a really successful trip down in Orlando last week. So,
You remember from last week? I found it really fun.
That's great. Hello, everyone. We have some new people too. I love it. Welcome. If this is your first time joining, I'm Rebecca Barron, the Director of Autism Tree, Director of Operations, at Autism Tree. And
My name is Lupe. I'm the program coordinator for Autism Tree. Yeah.
so I think while we wait, I know some people takes a few minutes. We can start, and Lupe's going to give a quick update.
Yes. Finishing this. Thank you for your patience. So before we get started, just a couple of notes. If this is your first time joining us, please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We do recommend speaker view for presentation, and video sharing is optional, but we would love to see all of your beautiful smiling faces. And please type any questions or comments in the chat. We like seeing interactions happening in our lunch and learn. If we have any questions, can ask those questions to Michael. And then at the end, we're going to have a short Q&A. So if you have any questions there, you could ask Michael himself too. So a quick Autism Tree update. We have 19 programs. 13 of those programs are in person, 3 are hybrid, and 3 are virtual. We have 10 upcoming events this January, and check all of our social medias. We're always adding new events. For this week, we have 4 events. We have an NCL art workshop happening this Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. at the La Jolla Library. We have adaptive dance for ages 11 through 18 happening at Tap Fever Studios from 12 to 12:45. And we have a free concert that is hosted by the mayor of El Cajon. We have a couple tickets for families, so if you'd like to reserve those tickets, feel free to contact us and we could get those tickets to you. That concert's happening this Saturday um, at 5 p.m. at the Magnolia Theater. Up to date, we have 491 videos in our YouTube channel. And please subscribe. We have currently 312 subscribers. And we have 103 lunch and learns uploaded in our YouTube channel. And this is our 104th. So welcome and thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to pass it on to our Director of Operations, Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to answer a question from Dave. Thank you, Dave, for asking. We're going to have a transcript or something from this meeting or later for reference. We do record every single one of these lunch and learns, and we will be posting them on our YouTube channel. So at Autism Tree, we have now recorded, as Lupe said, 103 lunch and learns on our YouTube channel. So we're so grateful for every single guest speaker. Autism Tree is celebrating our 20th year of existing. We were founded in 2003. I'm standing in actually today. I typically host these every week with our executive director and co-founder, Dana Hoff, who's pictured in this flyer. And she's actually, she loves these lunch and learns. We both do. She's actually in Las Vegas right now. We got the exciting opportunity to attend a Toastmasters lunch, which is an international organization that helps promote public speaking and leadership. So we have we're going, very exciting news. I'm going to Las Vegas next week to work with Dana and present at the Toastmasters next week, Wednesday. So Lupe will be running the lunch and learn next Wednesday for everyone. And this is her practice for today. So thank you all for joining. We're really excited about this special guest. To meet Michael. Thank you, Michael, for making the time. I'm going to introduce Angie, who is our connection to Michael. Angie is an incredible special needs mom who is just a dynamo and has so many connections, and she's been able to open so many doors for us. So thank you, Angie, for being here, and I'm going to pass the floor over to you.
Hello, everybody. It's Angelina Neglia. Angie's fine. And thanks, Rebecca, for bringing on and having these lunch and learns, because there's so much information and services out there that not everyone knows. And so I'm an advocate on the healthcare side as well as the educational side. And because of that, I've been doing this. My son has Kabuki syndrome, and I've been doing this for 26 years and know my way around hospitals, doctors, schools, services, and then all the various agencies. And that's how I met Michael. And as soon as I had learned about and started working with Dana and Rebecca and her team, I'm like, well, oh my goodness, you need to like meet Michael. There are so many things even within the Social Security realm that we can't know everything about it. And Michael has a lot to bring to the table. One, he doesn't look like the werewolf in this picture that we're showing right now. Two, he just is so valuable in terms of the different programs that he handles and knows about, but also depending on the ages and the audience that we have today. I know we have kids at all different ages, but there's a PASS program, and he's the PASS specialist as well for Social Security. And there's very few of them. It's an amazing program. So he's going to touch on that and talk about that today. So he's been an enormous help to my family, my son. And then we've got all lunch and learns set up for the next 5 or 6 weeks with all my other various agencies that I work with. So we welcome Michael, and we really appreciate him letting us know and conveying everything he knows about Social Security today. Go, Michael.
Thank you very much, Angie. Great introduction, and very kind of you to say I look unlike a werewolf, because that unfortunately is the best photo I have for the promo. I got to work on that. And just to piggyback off that, Angie's son Tyler has been an excellent PASS participant in our program, and Angie's helped a lot with his case, and just a great example of how the program can help someone get ahead, um, starting from one point and getting to where they want to be as far as employability and acquisition of education, of work experience. Oftentimes, we at SSA and the agency in general is seen as the boogeyman, sometimes deservedly so, but we do have a lot of different programs that are designed specifically to help individuals um, reduce their dependence on the benefits by being more prepared educational wise or self-employment startup wise to get out into the workforce and participate both socially and economically more in society, and PASS program being one of those programs, but there are some others that I'm going to get to, and including ABLE, which Angie has been the real, uh, I should say, promoter of that program here in California and beyond, getting the word out on that very important resource provision, because we here at Social Security have seen the resource limit for SSI recipients stay at $2,000 for an individual for decades, and never mind inflation as what that's been over the years. So it hasn't let people, think for the future. But programs like PASS, programs like ABLE, Ticket to Work, that I'm going to get into, allow for families and for individuals to think about their future and a bigger and better life, especially economically, that they don't have to be mired in the benefits, for their entire life, or the majority of their income tied to the benefits. There's another world out there, and there are programs that Social Security has that are linked to that world. Bear with me now. I'm going to start to share the PowerPoint. So I've done a lot of presentations on different platforms. It's been a little while with Zoom, but I'm going to share the screen here. Let me know if there's any issues as we go along.
We will.
All right. How's that? You guys see the first screen?
Yes, looks great.
All right. Very
Perfect.
good.
We
Thank
see
you.
it.
Well, the PASS program, short for Plan to Achieve Self-Support, is probably one of the best kept secrets in Social Security. It's not an intentionally kept secret, but it's one program of several, but especially this one that a lot of people don't know about. They'll know about Ticket to Work, they'll know about trial work period before knowing about this program. And it is as it's an ancient program within the agency, but a lot of our work as past specialists is just getting the word out, not only to the public, but to our own employees. So we do a lot of trainings with our field offices. I've probably trained upwards to of about 50 of them over the years on pass, because a lot of our referrals come from folks going into the lobby expressing, hey, I'm interested in work, or I'm interested in school, are there any programs? And my goal has always been for an individual for whom that's their reality and that's their aim, that they know about this program. So even forums like this especially are great in getting the word out. And we've got a fact sheet about the program that you'll get. I emailed that over, and of course you'll have this PowerPoint in the presentation to help in that endeavor. But we are by no means trying to hoard it. We're trying to get the word out so that folks who could use the program know about it and know who to contact. You're not going to remember everything that I go over, of course, but most importantly, a little bit about what it's about and how to contact us, how to get a hold of us for starting a plan or even the discussion for a plan or on any other work incentives. Because essentially, myself and my partner Patrick, we are work incentive liaisons for the agency right now for about 90 offices, all of Southern California up to Bakersfield, Ojai, all the way down to the border, Imperial Valley included, and then all of Arizona, all of Hawaii, even out to Saipan, because Saipan, unlike Guam and Samoa, actually has SSI. So these type of work incentives apply. I remember doing a presentation at 1 p.m. on a Wednesday so that our agency folks in Saipan could receive it at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. So 17-hour difference. They're on Chamorro time. So less to be said, our servicing area is vast for what we do. It will be shrinking somewhat, and we are retraining or training past specialists to take up bits of the area so that it's not quite so much, but we'll remain with San Diego County and Orange County as well. But for the time being, technically we can take a case from any one of the jurisdiction of the 90 offices. We'll also have Hawaii as well. So I have kind of the schematic here of a blueprint, because that's kind of what PASS is. It's a blueprint towards ultimately having success in employment, whether that be traditional employment, an employee for an employer, or self-employment. We see that from time to time. Can everyone see the second slide? Sometimes that's an issue where all right. So you might be asking yourself, why does this werewolf include Magnum PI in a slide? Well, it was my favorite show when I was sick from school, but it reminds me to speak about, in depth of why I do what I do and why programs like this are important. When I was sick from school, I'd watch Magnum PI, a detective show, and he was in Hawaii, had the Ferrari there. He stayed at the mansion there with Higgins and had access to the helicopters. And I thought, purpose of life, what would bring me all the happiness in the world would be to have all those things, grow up and be Magnum PI. Well, I've grown up to be a werewolf and nowhere near Magnum PI. But I have become happy, and I've realized, and the research scientifically shows this, that the key to happiness is not the Ferrari, the helicopter, the estate on Maui, though all those are great. It's having a sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose can manifest in a lot of ways. But a really big way that it manifests is in employment. A lot of people define themselves by what they do. Oh, I'm a painter, or I'm an administrator, or I'm a member of a nonprofit, or I work at the movie theater, or I work in customer service, and it's a source of pride, a connection to society, and also a source of advancement for them. So having that sense of purpose through work is quite important. And unfortunately, what happens with a lot of folks on disability benefits, either they can no longer work, or they've been on disabilities from a young age and have never quite gotten to that level yet. So programs like PASS are kind of a bridge from, kind of not having necessarily or feeling that sense of purpose through employment and getting to a point where they can. And it's not necessarily always the key to happiness, but it can be a big key to happiness. A lot of people in this world, even very successful, will forego a better job and money wise for doing something that they love and they find rewarding, and still able to make a living, but something that they feel is fulfilling their purpose, giving back to society or contributing to society in whatever way, shape, or form that takes. It can be from a very humble way to more complicated, elevated ways as well, but it's all important. And that's kind of why I do what I do, is to help connect people to that. And so going around from Magnum PI to PASS, I know it's a stretch, but it helps me. The mission of PASS. PASS was 50 years old last October, and it comes from Congress directly, part of a congressional mandate to provide every opportunity and encouragement to the blind and disabled to return to substantial gainful employment. It was established in the Nixon administration at the very same time as SSI, Supplemental Security Income. Essentially, PASS is exactly as old as SSI. Now, the administration of the program has changed over the years. It used to be the Wild West, where there was no PASS specialist or cadre or group that managed these cases, and the quality would vary wildly, such that it's been some years that they've kind of honed that in. And now, there's folks like myself, a PASS specialist, who administer these cases. And I got on to, Social Security about 14 years ago. Before that, I born and raised in San Diego and raised partly in Baja California with family there. And after college at University of the Pacific, go Tigers, in the Central Valley, I did job development with the Urban Corps of San Diego, then spent about 3 years doing community development in Nicaragua with the U.S. Peace Corps, then came back and did job development and vocational rehabilitation with the San Diego Labor Council here in town on the training side of things, helping individuals with varied backgrounds and strikes against them, sometimes literally, get into the trades. Pipe fitters, electricians, sometimes into the shipyards and whatnot, but a variety of employment. And I loved it, but the state grants dried up. So I looked for employment with the federal government, as I had worked in DC prior to the Peace Corps, and was mainly looking Department of Labor, but Social Security came calling, interviewed, and got on as a claims specialist in the Kearney Mesa office for about 8 or 9 years. And the last part of my employment with Social Security, and the current one, has been as a PASS specialist here out of the downtown office. But of course, my jurisdiction, as I laid out, is quite bigger than that. I love what I do because it melds my vocational rehabilitation background with what I've learned off the SSI program and other programs with Social Security. So able to use all the tools at the federal government's disposal, and partnering with different agencies, with the state of California and other nonprofits and what have you, because it very much takes a team to help individuals along to where they want to go. Eligibility for the program, who can partake? Age 15 to 65-ish, I should say. A lot of people are surprised at that younger age limit, we can help individuals who are in high school, even if they have some countable income. And I'll go into that later on in the presentation. But I've had some claimants that were quite young, age 15 or 16 in the program. I say 65-ish because at that age, folks are nearing retirement age. And with PASS, yes, it is an altruistic program, but we're also looking to get bang for our buck. We operate kind of like as investment bankers and trying to get the return on investment, that being individual in an area where they can gain independence eventually from disability benefits. But if they're starting their plan at that high age in the spectrum, so to speak, then there's not a lot of bang for our buck. They're going to be on retirement benefits if they're not already. So it's mainly for those on disability benefits. But sometimes we do have plans with folks that are around that age bracket. They have to be on some disability benefit with Social Security. So it's either SSI with some other income or resources in addition to the SSI, or they're on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. Some people call this SSA, disability insurance, where they're really referring to this, though SSI has disability program as well. But they got to be on at least one disability program with Social Security. It can be a disabled adult child benefit where person's, an adult, but they're receiving their benefit based on eligibility from their parents' record. Maybe their parents are receiving an insurance benefit, be it retirement or disability, and they're able to qualify based on that record. And then also, they have to be interested in school or self-employment, and there has to be some motivation, I found through the years doing this, for it to work. If the claimant or the participant's not interested, no matter what we do, or it's not going to work out. I mean, they have to have interest in school or in traditional employment, I should add as well. But there has got to be some buy-in because these plans are very much self-directed too. We can help with the application, but we're also the decision maker too. So that kind of ties our hands. We can't coach too much, but we try here and there to help them along. But there's got to be some motivation on the part of the participant for it to work. The different disability programs, and I'm going to kind of go over the difference here because there is some carryover as to, okay, what disability program you are on and how that would relate to PASS. We're going to start out here with SSI. Federal welfare program. It's paid from general, not Social Security taxes. You got to have low income and assets. I mentioned a little bit about the resource limit being $2,000 for an individual, $3,000 for a couple. If it's two parents with an eligible child, it's technically $5,000, but it's still not a whole lot. It doesn't allow you to save much at all to be on the program, especially here in Southern California. It's paid on the first of the month, so some people say, "Oh, I got SSDI." Well, when are you paid? And if they're paid on the first, that's a clue right away that it's SSI. And SSI can fluctuate with the weather. Any other income typically can reduce the benefit, and resources can affect it a lot, which isn't the case necessarily for the next disability program, which is SSDI, or Social Security Disability Insurance. This is an earned benefit. It operates kind of like most insurance programs do. You pay into it, and then if something happens, you're not able to continue working due to a disability, well, then you can get this benefit. It's a more long-term benefit than, say, state disability, which is kind of like, okay, if you're going to be out a year or less, that's kind of the eligibility for that. But with SSDI, the thinking is, okay, is your disability going to keep you from working for a year or more or less is the criteria. It's paid from FICA taxes. It comes out paycheck, Must have worked and paid taxes, of course, to qualify, or if the person that you're receiving it on, if you're a disabled adult child, that person must have worked and paid taxes. And it's paid typically on the third of each month. Sometimes it's like the third Wednesday, but most often the third of the month, and that's an indicator as to person receiving SSDI. And like I mentioned before, it can be the spouse or the child of a worker. There's a disabled widow's benefit as well, and that can create eligibility as well for that benefit. But you got to be on disability for pass to work, disability through SSA. Knowledge check, if you're not snoozing already. At what age can you get a pass plan? Is it A, age is just a number, it's only how you feel that counts, right? Or B, at the age that you are truly ready? It can vary. What was the question again? Or D, any age from 15 to 65? What do you guys think?
You can type it in the chat.
Yeah,
Good. Arlene just paying attention. D.
very good. Got another D from Murky there.
Esther also replied D.
Very
Kendra.
good. Yeah, you guys are on it. It's age 15 to 65. I wouldn't fault you if you put C though. But yeah, it is D. It's any age from 15 to 65-ish. So that's a broad range of folks who can be eligible for this program, provided they're on a disability benefit. Features of the program. This is a shot of my alma mater there, UOP, beautiful campus, featured in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And yes, I'm shamelessly plugging my university. PASS works by excluding income or resources against an SSI benefit, things that would count against someone's SSI if not for the PASS exclusions that we do. And we input those exclusions, most likely income exclusions. It's a rare chance that we have a resource exclusion, but it can happen. But it's just more likely that the individual has income going on that would reduce their benefit or is reducing it, and then we can essentially exclude it from counting against the SSI, therefore bumping up the SSI to fund expenses related to typically education and sometimes self-employment. It's got to be one or the other. We can't really do a plan that has both at the same time, though one might start out as an education plan to get the wherewithal to then strike out on their own in self-employment endeavor. And a word on this is that when we're looking at expenses, we want to see, as the plan itself, whether it's feasible or viable. I'll give you an example. I had an individual who's on pass and using his car to go to and from work and, well, actually it was to and from school and home. He drive from home to school. And he submitted an estimate that he wanted to see funded as part of his pass, and it was a car repair estimate for like $9,000, and that kind of made me stand in attention. And the car in question was a 1992 Honda Accord. Now anyone can go on the Auto Trader app or Kelley Blue Book and figure out that you can buy 4, maybe now 3 with inflation, Honda Accords of that year, 1992. So that was a red flag. And then the repair shop was something like San Diego Customs with the Z on the end. Another interesting note. And then the very necessary repairs to get from part A to part B, home to school, were things like spinner rims and fog lights and a drift kit and special exhaust, muffler, and what have you. So I had to explain to the individual that, look, we fund expenses related to PASS plans, but not PMR plans or Pimp My Ride plans. So we are, discerning in what we're going to fund. It's got to be related to a work goal or education. And we can fund a lot of different things. We can fund, tuition, books, transportation. We fund mileage at the IRS rate, which I believe is 62.5 cents right now, subject to change, probably going up. And that can be a big help for individuals who are driving between, home and work or home and school or both. And we can do car insurance, things like that. Laptops, we do like candy, typically funding about $500 for that. You can get online at various retailers a really good new laptop for that price, or a refurbished Mac. Childcare, if that's a barrier for the individual to be able to partake in school or self-employment. We can help fund that. Tools, clothing, internet, phone. By no means is this an exhaustive list, just kind of an example. And the expenses per pass plan are very much tailored to the individual themselves and what needs they have. I've had some interesting ones. I've funded a kind of like a special watch, that would track their heart rate and what have you, because that was an indicator of symptoms of their disability flaring up if their heart rate got too high, and they would know to either take medication or not, to be able to successfully, stay in class and whatnot. So it can run the gamut. My mantra is, if it's related to a work goal, try me, and don't self-select thinking that, oh, there's no way they'll fund it. You'd be surprised. We can fund a lot of different things based on our charter. It's gray area for a reason, to help out individuals, because not all of us are created equal, or the needs that we have, neither. Nuts and bolts. How does this program work? So we've got a case where, say, move this around here. Carla receives SSI and makes $1,085 per month through her job. Well, in a sense, she's got this $1,085, and normally through regular SSI matters, we can lop off $85, and get it down to $1,000. Then we can divide that by 2. These are general income exclusions we have when someone's working, and we're left with $500 of CI, or countable income. This is the amount that would be subtracted against their SSI in the second column. I'm using the 2022 rate because it's more familiar right now, but I'll be updating this for 2023. But the general high rate for SSI, if someone's paying their living expenses or what have you themselves, is $1,040 in 2022. So in this case, we subtract that countable income, and they'd be taking home $540 of SSI normally. And then their TI, or total income, would be that $1,085 from wages. Of course, Uncle Sam would take some of that, but we'll pretend he didn't. Plus the $540 of SSI, so they're taking home about $1,625 a month normally. What happens with PASS? So Carla spends $500 a month through her PASS on school tuition. So we can exclude that countable income such that she has 0 now, counting against her SSI. So her total income is the $1,040 full rate of SSI, plus what she's getting from work, $1,085 in wages, such that she's taking home $2,125. We're essentially reimbursing her for $500. A lot of the times, the way the exclusions and the payments work, and Angie can attest to it, we do this retroactively, and we do this in prior months where we know exactly what the person's income is, and so there's less chance of overpayment or underpayment, and we're able to generate lump sums of funding for an individual, say, before the semester starts, and then we do a review and then look to generate another lump sum using these exclusions in the past. Next example, this is for someone, of course, already on SSI, but the majority of our claimants, believe it or not, aren't on SSI when they file for PASS. So Antonio, in this example, he gets $1,120 of SSDI monthly. And normally we can only lop off, since it's SSDI, $20. It's only the general income exclusion. We're counting all $1,100 of that wages, or what it gets in the pay stubs, against the SSI. With the 2022 value, that $1,100 eyeballing it, that's going to put him in excess income status such that he wouldn't be eligible for an SSI payment normally. What happens with PASS? Say Antonio spends $300 a month on childcare expenses to be able to go to school. Well, that prior countable income of $1,100 from the example above will lop off $300, I should say, leaving $800 of countable income to be subtracted from their SSI. Well, just eyeballing it, you know now that they're eligible for some SSI. So this is how we take an individual who's ordinarily not eligible and make them eligible for the SSI. There's more to it than just this example in that case, but kind of wanted to kind of drive home the point, they don't have to be on SSI necessarily before applying for PASS. We can make them eligible. How to apply? Well, in this area, basically all of Southern California, you'd be calling either myself or my partner. We work off alpha, so the last name between A and M go to me, and N through Z goes to Patrick. But I mean, if you confuse that or whatever, we don't really harp on that. I mean, as long as you know the number to call to get a hold of us. And the application we have is the SSA 545. That's our PASS application. That is available, as is the number to call us is available online at ssa.gov. If you go on ssa.gov and search PASS or PASS Cadre, you'll be able to search to see, okay, who's your local PASS specialist. And those are being updated shortly as well. They're up to date right now, but we're going to have a lot more PASS specialists for, say, the California region and Arizona as well. But that application as well is available online. If you go ssa.gov, click on forms and type in 545, you'll find our application. It's also online with Cornell University, passonline.org. You can get the application that way. I have this information later on in the slide, but needless to say, there's a bunch of ways to get a hold of us and to get a hold of the application as well. We do not care any way, shape, or form of how we're contacted. It could be smoke signals, message in a bottle, Teddygram, Morse code. We don't care how, but we're more interested in that you know about the program and can get in touch with us. Doesn't have to be pretty. We just want to make that connection most important. And then we'll go from there. We're not expecting even if the person submits the application first and foremost, typically we'll need more documents anyway, but you can just call to start and we can send the application and more information that we'll need and kind of tailor-made to what we find out over the phone about the individual. PASS timeline, it doesn't take us too long to approve or deny cases. We do it in-house. Unlike the Department of Rehab, which is a great organization that can help in tandem with PASS, they kind of have to send it up the chain of command to get approval, and they pay vendors directly, not the individual, whereas PASS, we pay the individual, and we do reviews every 5 to 6 months, typically tied to the break in the semester, checking grades, checking receipts to see if the funds have been used appropriately, checking the next class schedule, okay, still in school, and then we'll look to set up another round of funding. But we do the funding in different blocks, and we'll check on feasibility and viability, especially at the onset. If the person's work goal is to be a construction worker, but they have sciatica, bad shoulder, bad knees, bad back, we'll say maybe a construction worker is not in the cards for you given your disabling conditions, and maybe we'll refer as well to the Department of Rehab, rehab here in California called DOR, and they're the experts in making that vocational rehabilitation decision, whether a work goal is apt for the individual given various factors, their interest, the market, limitations, all sorts of stuff. PASS plans can last up to 4+ years from education. I've had plans all the way from GED to PhD, and everywhere in between. It could be trade school, it could be vocational education, adult education. A lot of times we do see junior college. If folks are on SSI, they get that paid for anyway through the BOG waiver, but they often have other expenses, not just tuition and books, and that's where we can come in. For self-employment, there is a limit on how long the PASS plan can be. It's 18 months. Could last a bit longer, but essentially it's 3 rounds of funding, each round being 6 months. We're not in the business of keeping someone's business afloat for years on end, but we can help them get started. And usually it's the simpler businesses that are successful, something that maybe someone has worked for a landscaping crew and wants to go out on their own and create their own business. They know what to do, and there's relatively low barriers to entry. They might need some more tools and equipment or money for advertising to get going. And people have lawns, so it's a service that, it's not reinventing the wheel or some elaborate patent thing that's going to require years and years of development. That's an example of something that could work out, and we've seen work out with PASS. Knowledge check, because I've been talking for a while here. Jessica is in school for a degree in criminal justice and receives full SSI only. Is she a good candidate for PASS? Is it A, no, there are too many CSI detectives out there. There's CSI Bakersfield, CSI Blythe, CSI Grantville. Even in the less flashy places, there's CSI shows out there. Or B, yes, crime is at an all-time high. We need more detectives. Yes, she's presently on SSI. Or not yet. She currently has no countable income. What do you guys think?
Angelina, C.
Got C there. Any other thoughts?
Also, Jolie Beck said C.
C. Any other difference of opinion here? Let's get a variety. Here we go, Arlinda.
Yeah.
Rookie. Esther there. Technically, the right answer is D, to be real specific on it, because if they're on SSI and they have no countable income reducing their SSI, assuming they're under the resource limit, they're already at the full rate of SSI. There's nothing we can exclude to get them up to that rate, because PASS is limited by the full rate of SSI in a given year, and given the state that the person's in, how much that is. Here in California, it's higher because of a state supplement. But if they're already there, there's nothing we can exclude to get them, more SSI. We're capped at that monthly limit. So technically, yeah, they'd have to have some other countable income for this to work. However, those who chose C aren't necessarily incorrect in that I always encourage referrals for individuals in that boat, and I get a lot of referrals of individuals who are just on SSI, and that's fine. And I talk to them and go over different routes, be it ticket to work or otherwise, to get some countable income to make it work. It could be a part-time job doing whatever, as long as it's legal. I don't care. It doesn't even have to be related to their ultimate work goal. It could be completely unrelated, but it's the means to an end. It's income that normally would be reducing their SSI that we can go in and either eliminate any such reduction or kind of buffer against it a little bit, depending on how much the deduction would be. That's kind of how we operate this program. And we had a question in the chat that, okay, I'm not on SSI. Well, you got to be at least on SSDI in that scenario. And we got the question here, not clear the difference between SSI and SSDI. Well, SSI is the needs-based benefit. It's a needs-based disability program through Social Security. You have to be low income or low resource to qualify. A lot of folks gain that eligibility at age 18. We see a ton of applications for SSI when the child turns age 18, because at that point the parent's income and resources no longer affect their eligibility for SSI. And we're just dealing with the young adults' income and resources, which are typically not much, and they qualify for SSI. Or the individuals on SSDI, meaning that they have some work history. If you're younger, you don't need as much work history to qualify, and maybe they became disabled and can no longer work and filed for SSDI, which is an insurance program. And as long as their SSDI is lower than, say, about $1,700 a month, because there are limits to how much we can exclude, we can make it work with PASS if there's no other accountable income than the SSDI. We got a question here. I have to go back to work. This is amazing information. Okay. Kids are 4 and 5. Been trying to find resources and programs which I can get qualified and get some economic help. So PASS could, apply when they're age 15 if the parents' income or resources are, too high. Conservatorship. You could be on conservatorship and have a PASS plan. I've had some who are. Usually there's someone else helping along with the PASS plan and the making sure the funds are used appropriately in that point, but it's not a something that in and of itself would exclude someone from getting PASS. Hi, what did I miss? uh, we've kind of halfway through there for Amy, and you'll get copies of these slides as well, but we've been going over the eligibility for PASS and how it works. I'm kind of running off the chat here. How you sign up for SSI, I can get you information. I'll send our local field office numbers to the Autism Tree project so that that can be disseminated. Those are the magic numbers for calling the field offices themselves and not being on hold for 2 hours with the national number, as can often be the case. Also, yeah, of course, we're recording this so that you can go back and watch. How is this different from working and disabled? This is actually part of the working and disabled pamphlet. They talk about PATH, so it's part of it. It's one of several work incentives. I'll also jot some notes down here, include a reference to our Red Book, which is our Bible of work incentives, including PATH and others, for those who are on disability and want to or are working, and how does the work affect the benefits or not. There's a lot of myths out there that, oh, I'm going to immediately lose my benefits and my health insurance, be it Medicaid, Medi-Cal, or Medicare if I work. And the Red Book is a good resource for dispelling a lot of those myths. Let's see, FO numbers, Red Book. So I got my homework here to disseminate more information. So if you only study, you're not qualified, you have to have a source from a job. Now, it could be some other source of income. Some folks have pensions or something off of their parents or what have you. It doesn't necessarily have to be from work, but yes, a part-time job is probably the easiest route to getting that other accountable income. Does this affect the income requirement? Yeah, conservatorship doesn't necessarily affect the income requirement. It doesn't really have to play in the income side of things. And we've got a referral there to the regional center. Okay, so yeah, answer here on the slide for catch-up is D, though even if the person's not on SSI, please go ahead and refer, because we can kind of go over what their options would be. So we've had many success stories with PASS. The ones I'm going to list have had physical disabilities, but probably the majority of our claimants have some called mental disabilities as well, or exclusively. Brian K., cerebral palsy he was diagnosed with, and still went to University of Hawaii to get a counseling degree, 3.7 GPA. That's another thing that doing this job has shocked me. There's a lot of folks on disability or applying for disability or good students, and PASS is a program to help them along. He's now working for the state of Hawaii, making well over $35,000 a year. He's off benefits, really linked in with the community there and doing very well. Darlene R., she was in the dorms at Cal State University San Bernardino, contracted meningitis, and essentially paraplegic after that. It was a really sad case. It made the news. But what also made the news is her overcoming any limitations of that. Got a 3.9 GPA at the Cal State there, and is actually working for the state of California on the university side, making well over 70 grand a year. And this is a PASS alumni. We even have a PASS alumni in our office, Debbie, who had used PASS because of her high visual impairment, to get magnifiers and different equipments. Dragon, I believe, is one of the softwares as well, and got her education and did well. Had her life set up all right, and got on working with the Social Security Agency. And she works a few cubicles down from me, and is someone who has used PASS to get ahead. We don't have to look too far for examples. We've had another individual who worked for a teleservice center here at this office who was visually impaired and had received assistance from PASS. Not all are education plans. Rocco, his son has autism. He himself had a heart condition that qualified him for disability benefits. He was kind of an understudy of a guy who would, service pools and pool cleaning and filter repair and all that. And he wanted to have his own business. So he applied for PASS, and we funded items related to tools and equipment, some repair of his truck, a lot of advertising as well. This guy, he does not know what a 4-star review is on Yelp. He's got about upwards of 50 to 70 reviews and works all over the county cleaning pools, and very personable, just a great guy. Used the PASS funding to get ahead, and 5-star Yelp ratings without exception. So he's been a great story of how the program can work in a different way towards self-employment, and he himself has brought his own lot in life up, and that of his son as well. He's able to be there more for his son, for autism services and behavioral classes and what have you. So it's essentially a program that can, in this way, help the entire family in that route. There's a companion program called Ticket to Work, and it offers free employment services. It's the agency's answer to the question, okay, I'm on benefits, but how do I get back to work or start working for the first time? Well, it helps prepare you for work, to find a job. That's the main thing. Ticket to Work helps you find a job. It opens up access to employment networks full of employers who are used to hiring individuals who have disabilities. So it's not necessarily in the general pool of employers who, unfortunately, many still have a stigma towards, even though it's technically not legal, towards hiring individuals who are disabled. But Ticket to Work exclusively deals with employers, employment networks who hire individuals on that are receiving disability benefits or have disabilities. And it helps kind of maintain their success while they're working. There's different milestones and checks that are done. Eligibility, age 18 through 64. You got to be on some disability benefit, kind of like PASS. It does offer, and this can be a bigger kicker for someone and a big benefit, a protection against a continuing disability review. We in Social Security, and I'll speed this up here with time, we do reviews every 3 to 7 months to determine if the individual is still disabled, and we might say, well, your disability is not severe anymore to qualify for benefits. Well, if you have an active Ticket to Work, you can have a protection against that, even against that review being opened. We have to check to see if they have a Ticket to Work. If they do, we can't even open the review. So it gives you a buffer against that while you're trying to get back to work. PASS and ABLE, Angie's very well versed in this. Achieving a better life experience. This is a resource exclusion. They are tax advantaged accounts for individuals who have been found to be disabled before the age of 26, but that limit might be increasing soon here. We'll see. But essentially, for SSI or otherwise, but especially if someone's on SSI, it's a resource exclusion up to $100,000. You can have up to $100,000 in that account and still be eligible for SSI. And you can put the disability benefit can go directly to an ABLE account. the wages you earn can go to a ABLE account. So as that money is accumulating up for different expenses that you might have, it's not countable against the SSI, and it's all good. You can have PASS and ABLE at the same time. You can take advantage of PASS for its income exclusion. Even though PASS has a resource exclusion, you can take advantage of the ABLE resource exclusion, which can offer some more perks there. I have kind of slightly a little bit that will indicate how to contact ABLE. Both programs can allow funding and disbursement towards costs involving tuition, books, training, uniforms, tools, equipment, transportation, childcare, a whole host of things. There's the only type of expense that could be dinged against SSI if someone takes money out of the ABLE account to use for housing expenses and doesn't use it in the same month that it's taken out. It could be a transfer of resources. Doesn't even have to be the person's own income or assets going into the account. The total amount that can be transferred to an account in a year is $16,000. So it can be a combination of the person's assets, Auntie Carol's assets once put into the ABLE account for the individual. It's a good resource and a work incentive in and of itself. Contact information for PASS, different websites that you can file. There's not a website. The PASS Online is a good one because it breaks down how, what we're going for with the different questions and how best to answer them. You'll still have to print the document out and send to your local PASS specialist. There's not a button you can press at the end to do so, but it makes it nice and neat and print it out. There's different forums on our website that you can find about PASS. Ticket to Work, all you got to do to apply to Ticket to Work is to call that number in the middle of your screen. That's it. We contract with Maximus to administer the Ticket to Work, but there's the website and other resources for ABLE. There's the National Resource Center. California has its own ABLE account, and there are some advantages of going with California ABLE, and you can see the national site to compare and contrast. And there's the Red Book as well. I had the link there already that describes the ABLE account and a host of other work incentives and how work affects benefits through Social Security. And now the slide you've been waiting for. Thank you very much for your time today. And I'd like to open up to any and all questions that you might have. Ran up against the 1 o'clock hour, but we did have some questions going along.
There's a few questions in the chat. Another question is an adult over 18 with a conservationship considered a minor as regards qualifying for SSDI? I mean,
yeah, to answer that, no, it's kind of a straight cutoff of age 18, but they can still file for SSDI. Like the conservatorship doesn't, it's almost an indication in their favor for a favorable determination. The fact that they're under conservatorship would imply, this person has limited capability to manage their own funds and might have a more likely time to qualify for benefits. So it's not a hindrance. It could be quite the opposite.
Another question, it says, how do I get connected with Ticket to Work? I want to hire folks with disabilities. And this is from
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can call the line there for Maximus to ask that question, to ask to be part of an employment network. So you would be one of the employers or the employment network that folks would be linked to if they contacted Ticket to Work. But you can call that same number and they'll refer you to the right department to do that. That's cool. Hey, you want to do that. That's really good. Let's see. Joy, it is the Joy. I worked with Joy, who's in on this at the Kearney Mesa Social Security when I started. Joy, you're awesome. And Joy was working on stuff well above my pay grade then and my pay grade now. She's very, there's a lot going with the agency.
I wouldn't say that, Michael, but thank you.
and great with
I switched agencies. I'm at a different agency now. I'm no longer with Social Security.
Oh, okay, good to hear.
Yeah.
But I was really stoked to see your name there. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
And
it's
hope
good to
all is
see.
well.
Yeah, now I'm starting to think about this stuff for Jake, so I'm starting
Okay.
to kind of keep it in mind.
Hit me up. There's a lot out there and a lot that we don't have any commercials on TV about this stuff. So it's a matter of just getting plugged in with the right people, and Angie being one of them for sure. And yeah, hit me up anytime. Be very happy to help.
Hey, quick thing, Michael.
Mhm.
Quick thing, Angie here. Just to let you know, you can't have Social Security checks go directly into CalAble because there's no routing number going into the CalAble accounts, just with laws and rules for California.
Oh yeah,
And
the
so
reconcile.
typically you just have your Social Security check go in, at the beginning of the month to, I would say, a checking account, what you have on file at Social Security. And then,
transfer.
you move whatever, the whole thing or a piece of it over. And it's really easy to do deposits and withdrawals. The other piece that we should also say, even though you can do a general contribution of 16K, there's about 14 or 15, depending what state you're in, that you can contribute as a work contribution because
Correct.
it's already been taxed. So it allows you to put more money in per year, even though the total cap's 100K. So much flexibility, or prepaid credit cards, all of that sort of thing. I'm pushing with legislation to try and get it over 100K now. But anyway, it's a
That's great
fabulous
info.
program working with Social Security.
Yeah, you know that program backwards
My
and
2
forwards.
cents.
I always defer. Yeah, the policy states the benefits can go in, but yeah, you're right. I guess on the ground with that routing number, that's an issue for the
Well,
disability.
we're always trying to simplify things, but can't get that one just because the laws, the rules. When we implemented, and I wrote the bill for CalAble and we wrote the RFP, we had a hard time because there's so many rules and regulations for this type of savings plan for people with disabilities, knowing you're working with Social Security and all that. So we just couldn't make that piece happen. But it's a fabulous program. And for everyone out there, so if you have questions, you've got to call Michael. And we're working with the past plan. My son's on it. I actually think COVID actually helped streamline some of the process because twice a year, I put a spreadsheet together and I give his pay stubs and I get all his expenses, highlight them, print them out of the 6 months out of his bank account, and I send them off to Mike with the next 6 months of what our goals are and what our assumed expenses are, and it works beautifully. Okay.
Can I ask what's the ABLE? What exactly is that program? ABLE?
Angie.
CalAble is a federal program that I helped write the bill for about 2 or 3 years ago up in Sacramento. We got the bill passed, and you should plug your ears, Michael, but we had Social Security, Medicare, and Medi-Cal sue us and fight us in court for about 2 years because they wanted access to the funds so they could lower benefits. And if you had money in this account, they wanted access to it. And so if a person dies that gets Medi-Cal benefits, they wanted access to the estate, the funds in those accounts. Anyway, we fought them for 2 years. They all lost. We won. So Social Security and all of that cannot view CalAble. That's what the ABLE account is.
Yeah.
And it's a savings vehicle. So as soon as you have $2,000 in your normal checking account, move some of it over into ABLE account. It's very easy to apply and very, very easy eligibility. And actually, I was just going to say the eligibility was 26. I think it's actually this week we're pushing it, I think, to 46. I have to check what the latest number is, but very easy to apply. Constantly in focus meetings to add more benefits. There's actually a stock part in it because I'm like, well, you know what? People with disabilities should have every right to have everything like a normal person has. So there's stock plans, investment plans in there, non-aggressive, just cash, medium, moderate, aggressive as well. So look it up, or Michael and I can always email you brochures of CalAble, good overviews.
Yes, and also, if I may, Angie, thank you for that description. CalAble was a sponsor of Autism Tree's Lunch and Learns last year, and so we did about 5 or 6 CalAble Lunch and Learns where they go into depth of what it is, what the eligibility is. They answer all of our parents' questions. So all of those are recorded and on Autism Tree's YouTube channel. Dave, you can go watch them
on YouTube.
Cool.
Yeah, perfect.
Hey,
Wonderful.
Michael, can I ask you a question, or maybe someone there knows, it's not, my son, he's going to turn 21 next month, and he's been in Grossmont College he's finishing Grossmont College, and he's with a 3.8, and he's ready to transfer to state or UCSD in fall.
Uh-huh.
But he's super, his disability, he has autism diagnosed, but he's super high functioning, very articulate, just extremely shy. And he has some spatial orientation sort of issues. But, I don't know, I just wish there was someone that can help me screen him and help me kind of get ideas for what direction he could go. He wants to get his degree in history, but he says he doesn't want to teach, but he's a natural teacher. I think he would be, but I just really, we're kind of lost, we're a little bit like, don't want to waste his education, but he's not getting any kind of work skills or any kind of, life skills really outside of just.
Dave, are you working with Department of Rehab? Dave, are you working with Department of Rehab?
I'm not in there yet. No, not yet.
Join our Lunch and Learn next week. We're going to
I
have
can
somebody from the Department of
All
Rehab.
right.
Yep.
There are
When you
cousins
have
at the
that
ski
team
level.
there, yeah, who we work with and who I work with, Department of Rehab, because all of these pieces all work together, even though you need different things at different times in your life, and there's rules and regulations. But for my son, for example, we have wonderful work relationship with Michael, and then I work with San Diego Regional Center, Department of Rehab, IHSS, College to Career, for example. So you should be talking to the people at Department of Rehab, talking about what's his dream, what's his passion, what does he want to do, where is he at college, coaching, how to sell himself, how to network. And there's so many things that he could be guided with, because they want them to be self-sufficient or grow to be able to have a job. So we have look up the next few schedules, because I think I've booked about the next 6 lunch and learns with all these different agencies coming up, and the regional center is one of them. Department of Rehab is one of them coming up.
Yeah, thanks. We're in regional center. I've been there for a long time, but
Cool.
they kind of referred us to Pride, or
Yeah,
I found Pride, but they just said something like, last time I actually contacted, finally we got a hold of our. Anyway, they said that, in 6 months we can help you maybe with something in 6 months. And I'm like, I don't know. It just seems very just kind of disparate and not really, together. So
I would introduce you straight to Department of Rehab, and they're
Okay,
presenting
cool.
next week, January 18th as well.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
If you feel the need to, Dave, you can reach out to us offline. Like, you can send an email to Lupe or I. We can loop in Angie and anyone else who we think might be a resource.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. He's a really bright guy. I feel like, I want him. He wants to, get his degree. I guess, he's really capable, but just what direction are we going? And what's the end goal here? I don't want to. Because he's hammering away at school and he's really doing good, but he's got 0 practical skills.
And Department of Rehab can really help with that.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I'll be on there next week then.
Okay.
they're called Workability at the colleges here. I've done presentations with them. It's at San Diego State, it's called Workability, at the junior colleges as well. And that's essentially Department of Rehab's wing at these educational institutions. But it's kind of the same thing. And oftentimes, or almost exclusively, they're hooked up with disabled student services, called different things on different campuses, but essentially with that network, if not already hooked up, even ahead of time, even if not yet a student there, you could always call and say, hey, what programs do you have? And that might help you make the decision of where to go.
Yeah, I heard UCSD just isn't.
I haven't seen too much with them, honestly. San Diego State more so.
Yeah. So we live closer to SDSUs, but UCSD would be great because of all the resources they have. They have so many resources. But it's so spread out. I'm not sure if it worked for him.
It all depends. With science and tech, they're especially good.
Yeah.
We have one more question. Thank you so much to everyone, and Angie, Michael, for being so generous with your time. I just want to get to one more question that we skipped over. It's a pretty simple one. It's from Anne. She said, if you only study and you're not qualified, you have to have a source of income from a job. Is that correct?
It doesn't have to be from a job, but it has to be some other source of income. And I put the job on there because it's vastly the most common way to get that countable income. Like not everyone can just poof, here's my pension, or some other source of income, or state disability could be another source of income if they're on that, or unemployment insurance as well if it's counting against their SSI. The last few years, not much of that is counted due to COVID policy, but yeah, any other income we'll look to exclude. And part-time job tends to be the easiest way, even though for some that still is a difficult step. But given the other options, it tends to be the easiest by comparison.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. And as tradition, we do like to take a group picture before we all log off.
See us all haggard.
So if you would like to be a part of the group picture, please turn your camera on. We'd love to see your smiling face. And
Angie looks the same, but I've definitely aged in the 1 hour here.
Perfect.
Did a
Put
great
it on your
job, great
glasses.
job.
Okay, I'll do a countdown. Ready? 3, 2, 1, cheese. Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Again, this was incredible. Angie, thank you so much. I'm excited for your lunch and learn and all the speakers you've lined up for the rest of this month. So thanks everyone for joining, and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank
you
you.
guys immensely for the opportunity. Great question.
Thank you, everyone.